Well, one is when your group's up talking, come on up, and then when you're not, going back, audience, give them your attention. You know, you can cheer your team on if you need. Again, this isn't a win or lose situation. This whole purpose is to get a perspective and learn how to combat those types of arguments. But you guys have to cheer for your teams, get all excited, clap up. But when the other team's talking or somebody else is starting to give their point, just bring it back down so we can give them their full attention. So, our judges. I should have had like a Law and Order thing, like where I pushed it, like, oh, I got it out here. Push the button. There we go. All right, that's enough. We have. Huh? Oh, don't get her anything. Get the ceiling, baby. All right. So, our judges, lawyers, our litigators will be asking the questions. You guys will be doing the answering of the questions, and then we'll have some set. Let you guys off riff do a little bit. So, take it away.
Okay, question number 1 of today's trial. Is vaping e-cigarette safe? Green team, go up. You have the floor. Is vaping e-cigarette safe?
When compared to smoking and other drugs, it is significantly unsafer and has been proven safe.
I got it, no stress. Okay. According to the International Journal of Health Sciences, right, with vaping, let's make one thing clear, right? It is not something that is explicitly safe. This is not something that you will do to become healthier. And that answers the question in the sense that is vaping safe. However, you have to take into account the full context of the situation. A lot of people vape because they're trying to shift away from other things that are much more dangerous than vaping. And according to a Johns Hopkins study, it shows that vaping has around a 32% success rate about converting people from different drugs like Oxycontin, from these opioids, from these different drugs, from smoking cigarettes. And it shifts, and it's a much safer alternative compared to that. In addition, there's an argument that, oh, there's other nicotine replacements such as patches and gums, but what a lot of people fail to understand is that with all of these solutions, it's not 100%. You don't just take this and then your addiction just subsides. And so what we believe with vaping is that it's about having more choices for people to change their way of life into something that's more healthy. So is vaping safe? No, but it's much safer than what other things could be.
All right, thank you. Let's turn it.
You going to jail? Ain't no way.
In the courtroom, I guess.
All right. Purple team, you have the floor.
Okay, so before we get into what we were gonna say, I would like to talk about what.
All right, you can do rebuttal.
Okay,
Here's our rebuttal.
So the question was, is vaping safe, right? But out of his own lips, he said that it wasn't safe, and that it could lead to right? And he said that he also said that it could lead away from other drugs, which isn't that just gateway? Like yes. Like you get this. He's saying that you go from e-cigs, right, to let's just hypothetically say marijuana or something like that.
I didn't say that.
But it's just
That's not what I said.
so, okay.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, well, it's not safe at all because it can lead to damaging your brain. It can lead to damaging all your internal organs and stuff. So, though it's bad.
Don't come right off chest off.
Let me give you an
Bad,
example.
bad.
Let me give you an example. So, e-cigs is like, it's like candy. You eat a bunch of candy for Halloween, right? And then you're like bouncing off the walls and everything. That's like smoking. It gives you that adrenaline rush. But eventually you're gonna crash, right? That's what this is like. It's not good for you because it's eventually just gonna lead you down a drain of badness.
Amen. Amen.
Once you eat one piece of candy, then you'll lead to eating another and another because it
And also, it's not FDA approved, so you don't know what you're putting in your body.
yeah.
You could be putting in a number of chemicals. Like, it may. I'm not gonna say.
Order in the.
Continue.
I'm not not gonna say it will kill you because again, you don't know what you're putting in your body. But I will say that it can kill you because one day you could be smoking and go like, I'm fine. The next day you're like, oh, I'm dying because you're going to the hospital because again, you don't know what they put in there. It's bad for you. And I rest my.
All right.
Yeah. That's my girl. That's my girl. That's my girl.
Do we have rebuttal or no is the next question?
Oh, it's the next question, but.
Okay, sorry. You don't get rebuttal. That was the shut down.
All right, next question, order.
So, do e-cigarettes have any potential benefits?
Green tea.
So building off of what we said earlier, right, there are a certain number of benefits, and without mistake, there are benefits, but there's rarely something that you can get purely good without anything in exchange, right? And one of the things is cost. Compared to normal cigarettes, it's shown that they're up to 26% cheaper. And for some people, it's a choice of recreation. For some people, it's a method of cope. For some people, it's just something that they do from time to time at social gatherings. And so with that, the cost is an important part because when people advocate for taxes on these things, right, what they often fail to consider is the externalities. So with this, if you take economics, you understand something called elasticity of demand. And so with this, the process of this, right, if you are addicted to, let's say, like cigarettes or vaping, right, will you care if it's $1 more, or are you still going to get the same thing because you are, you're prone to using it? You are prone to using it. So by increasing the cost for it, you're not affecting the demand for it as much. And all you're doing is you're increasing the burden of using this on these people. And this actually shows that with taxes like these, it actually has a negative effect on people in lower socioeconomic statuses, where it's a bigger cut out of their paycheck when it's just something that they enjoy. With this, the benefit is they can have a cheaper alternative, and when we make it more expensive, it's something that's less viable, and they can turn to other street drugs and other things that are just not safe and not FDA approved. In addition, the environmental consequences are much less compared to cigarettes. With cigarette butts, you have hundreds of these when you're a smoker that's addicted. But with this, you have rechargeable devices, and you don't have to litter out the parks, the beaches, wherever you want. And you can keep it in a place that's compact and safe where it's out of reach. So these are the benefits for that.
No sir, I will not clap. No sir.
Purple team, you now have the floor.
We asked for your help.
Are we gonna do rebuttal?
Order.
Though the prices can be lower, can you really put a price on your life? If you only have one life, why waste it coughing and sneezing and being gross? Get a face going to a bush garden.
Order in the forum, please.
When you could be eating bush gardens and living your best life and running.
What if they can't afford Busch Gardens?
Well,
Busch
you
Gardens
can-
is $132.
Oh, purple team has the floor.
Out of order.
You, in the long run, you really can't put a price on your life if you only have one. So, you should live your life to the fullest. You should live it doing whatever you want. If you want to go run outside your house, you can do that. But if you have limitations such as coughing and lowering your endurance because of e-cigs and all that, then how would you live your life?
In bondage, amen. Amen.
Any more arguments?
Oh, purple team, that was your. Oh, okay.
I'm ready. Did you?
We're actually switching off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, Fred.
Wait a minute. Tell her I'm gonna need her to air out.
Okay, purple team stalking.
There's no positive benefits to smoking because there's really no positives to any deadly addictions. Because, like she said, you can't put a price on your life because you only have one. And there's over 200 confirmed deaths by e-cigarettes because when you keep on smoking, you can get lung cancer, you can destroy the part of your heart that pumps blood to your lungs, which could also lead to different cancers. It can damage your kidneys if you do it too much, and then if you do it too much, then you won't be able to get help and then get saved.
Yeah.
Is that it for purple team?
We rest our case.
Okay, last question.
All right, question number 3. Are y'all ready?
We won.
Sir.
We won.
What is the relationship between vaping and teens?
This is too funny.
Is this negative or positive?
Okay, so with that question,
I didn't say no before.
I
Out of order again,
Green
Judge.
team, you have the floor. No, purple team, you have the floor. I want to switch it up.
That's a little biased. Let's keep it
No,
That's bias.
there's no bias. We have to switch it up.
That's bias.
It's alright, we can keep this happening. We'll let them know.
Thank you. Can take
I'm the
your
judge.
Oh.
That's right, my bad, that's my fault.
All right, Mr. Out of order. I don't want to get too much from you.
So can you please repeat the question?
All right, I got you. Fred.
Without.
What is the relationship between vaping and teens? Okay. Is this negative or positive?
Personally, honestly, this is my honest opinion. I think it would be a negative relationship because teenagers have not had their brain fully developed until they reach around age 21, right? 21, 25.
That's even worse.
Source?
So you're feeding 13 to 18-year-olds e-cigarettes and saying that it's cool or it's hip in their society, and you have to. Oh my gosh! You're using pretty colors and you're using cool advertisements to get them to want to do that, and you know that you'll have a lifelong customer doing that instead of going after one of these 50-year-olds.
What I said? I told you to say that. Yeah.
And then you're lying to them, and you're saying that they're using it as a coping mechanism, or they're using it as just something to do when they're bored or something. But really, you're killing yourself when you're bored. And is that something that you would want to do?
No.
And again,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not FDA approved.
That's rhetorical.
And again, it's not FDA approved, so you could be putting anything in your body and just believing what the box says. Like what we were talking about earlier when they said, what if it's 0% nicotine?
Yeah.
From 2 to 0.24. So you're still consuming something that's not bad for you. That's not good for you. That's not good for you.
Order.
You look for track this statement?
Just because the pretty box says so. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Are you a fan of a slow, possibly painful death? And I'll answer it for you. I doubt anyone would say yes because no one likes pain or dying. They enjoy their life. But really, that's what they're saying. They're for slow deaths because e-cigarettes and smoking can possibly kill you because of all the chemicals and everything you're putting in your body. But for a teen who's not fully developed yet, this could put a bigger impact on their body. This can mess with their head. This can give them addiction problems to the vaping that they're in and possibly other drugs because they're said, hey, I'm interested in this, I want that. So they're just like, I'm gonna do it.
Why not?
Let's say hypothetically there's a person right here and they go like, hey, I have a kid who's like this, who's like 12, and then they start smoking, then they die at 14 because they put that in their body. It's a hypothetical thingy.
Let everybody calm down. Y'all ain't done.
Okay, I'm just saying it's a negative impact.
Period. Don't play with that girl. So y'all better clap. Thank you.
To address the question implies that there is a relationship between teens and smoking. And that is something that no one should condone. These teens should not have access to these in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that they do is an impact on the community, and we should recommend and fix that. However, when we talk about putting a price on life, what we're not taking into account is anytime you do anything, you're taking a risk. You put your kid in a car and you trust him to drive, it doesn't matter if he drives or someone else is driving. The chances are more kids die from drunk driving than they do from e-cigarettes. So when I'm telling you, putting a price on life, it's not just a price tag, it's anything that's implicit behind it as well. So with that, the relationship between teens and vaping is something we do need to fix. That is a problem. However, when you're taking away people's choice, people's freedoms to do their things as full-grown, responsible adults, that becomes a problem in this sense. With things, here's an example. According to a Johns Hopkins study, right? Almost 24 to 25% of just 14 to 15-year-olds have taken at least one drink in their lives. 14 to 15. Compared to vaping, around 4.6% of teens vape. So here you're comparing numbers here. You're talking about these advertisements, these colorful banners. You have things like Truly Hard Seltzer, you have White Claw, you have these alcoholic things that are taboo as well, that are being promoted in this colorful fashion, but there's no commotion about that when that's more readily accessible at parties. So when I'm talking to you about how the relationship between teens and vaping should be fixed, it's more of a holistic issue, but it has to be taken into account the other side. It's not just about teens are vaping and this is bad because we shouldn't have it. That's a clear. But when you're affecting other people who are trying to quit, trying to change their life for the better, we need to take that into account. Store owners, gas stations. When gas stations sell gas, they make almost no profit on the gas that they sell. All their profit comes from the convenience store. When you're buying your Doritos, your Mountain Dew, which you know the ingredients inside of it. It's FDA approved. High fructose corn syrup makes you fat and slow as well. It's not just vaping.
Don't look at me like that. I control nothing that happens outside of these 30 seconds.
Last 30 seconds.
All right, 30 seconds, please.
What you have here is, there are things that we often forget about. These gas station owners, a lot of it, they make their money through selling these patches, these vapes, and all these tobacco products. So all I'm asking is for consideration. No kid should ever touch a vape, and quite frankly, I wouldn't recommend it. But it's hard to uproot the lives of other people trying to live. Thank you.
You're on.
I would like to point out earlier, this team said that we specifically market towards teens and elementary school, middle school. And I'm gonna say that's false. Because listen, we market towards adults. We have never said specifically or anywhere, no commercial, nothing. We said, hey, give these to your children, okay? No, we have not said that. So maybe instead of cracking down on our business because we're told, maybe you should look at the adults who are going into the stores and giving it to them instead.
All right.
Objection.
On what ground? You trying to say on what ground?
Okay, first when we were talking about positive and negative, he didn't
Wait. You said objection to start talking.
Oh, my bad.
I didn't do the pop.
Your Honor, please may I get me.
We have 30 seconds because they exceeded their time.
Okay. So when we were talking about positive and negatives, he didn't answer the question. He was just talking about gas station and tips and everything. And he was talking about how he doesn't recommend giving E6. He doesn't recommend E6 to children, right? So why are you for it? Yeah.
I just explained.
What kind of adult would like, hey, I want some Tutti Frutti cigarettes?
That was 30 seconds, that was 1 second, I don't care.